Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our new guest, Markisan Naso. We're here to break down By the Horns and everything in between. Welcome to the stream, a fellow metalhead, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I am. Thanks for having me on, Cody.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to get a chance to meet new creators and a chance to read their work. And holy crap, I love this, the premise of it. We have someone who is just very distraught. Her husband was trampled by unicorns and she has an undying bloodlust to kill them all. And I just was not, I never go into a book expecting anything. And this just floored me. I love just how brutal it was. The story just has so much good layers to it. Before we dive into that, Markisan, give us a little bit about who you are and how you got into creating comics.
So my name is Markisan Naso. I write By the Horns and do it with my co-creator Jason Muir, who's a fabulous artist, and Steve Cannon does the colors and makes everything pretty. And I'm a writer and editor by trade. I went to school for that, and I got into writing comic books later in my career, and it happened because I went to this convention called Morrison Con. Do you know anything about that, Cody?
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
So there was this convention that was centered around Grant Morrison in Las Vegas, and you paid for the whole trip, and you got the hotel, airfare, access to everything that goes on at the con. Mm-hmm. And what was neat about that convention is that you got to hang out with the creators, and it was about the creative process of making comic books. Mm-hmm. It was not about, hey, this is what's coming out next. There was no alternate media there, no wrestling or TV or anything. It's just about comics. And so he invited a lot of his friends there, and then creators that he really respected, like Jason Aaron, for example. And so it was a little bit expensive at the time because this is a few years ago now. But I went there and I was just really kind of inspired by that convention, because there's a lot of people who were also looking to break into the field of comic books, and I felt like they got a lot out of it. I did too. And even some of the creators created a comic book anthology from that. I was not part of it, but it just put a bug in me to do more creative things, because I had been managing editor and editor-in-chief for a lot of publications, and worked an office job, and it just kind of sucked the life out of me.
Yeah.
I was really good at it. I'm really good at that kind of stuff. I'm good at organizing things and improving on publications, but I just didn't have time to be creative, and it was really hard. So I decided that I was going to leave that life behind and take a stab at doing creative works. So that's how I started thinking about more comics. If I had a lot of ideas for comic books, but just never really materialized. And it really wasn't until Jason. Actually, I probably wouldn't even be doing comics if not for Jason, because there were some artists that maybe I had tried to do something with early on, and then it just never happened. But then Jason came into my life, and he's as dedicated to doing it as I am, and that's how it happened. That's how we created Voracious, our first book.
Okay, so yeah, Voracious, and that was the work you did for Action Lab Entertainment, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes.
So what was that book about?
It's about a chef who travels through time, kills dinosaurs, and serves them at a restaurant in the present.
That is such an out of this world concept. How does that creation come about?
Well, that was interesting. So, I was at a party, I don't know, a lot of years ago now. And somebody asked me the question, if you could have any superpower in the world, what would it be? So what would you choose if somebody asked you that, Cody?
Oh, that is a good one. If I could have any superpower in the world, it probably would be the ability to extend hours in the day. Like, if you know what I mean? If I had like 2 or 3 more hours in the day, I could achieve so much. And it feels like that is a superpower in itself.
I like that. That's thinking a little bit outside the box, because most people go like flight invisibility. I said that I want the power to manipulate all time and space. So that way I could go forward in the future, get a spaceship, a lightsaber, but I could also go back in time, take all that technology, and make myself a dinosaur sandwich. And I was kidding because I was at a party, but I just liked that idea. So I wrote it down in a notebook. And then when I went to that convention that I spoke about earlier, I was flipping through that notebook and saw it. And I was like, I think I can make a story out of that. So that's how it was conceived. And, from there, I just kind of built the world and the characters.
If you could go back in time, there's no preservatives. There's nothing. That's 100% grade A, probably beef. What dinosaur would you want to eat from?
I mean, herbivores, of course.
Yeah.
Better. But who knows what they taste like? All those dinosaurs were different. And, dinosaurs, like birds are descended from dinosaurs, they say. So, different birds taste completely different. Turkey is not the same thing as chicken. Or quail or whatever. So, I imagine that they'd all taste a little bit different, but yeah, I'd go for an herbivore, maybe like a triceratops or brontosaurus or something.
Maybe a stegosaurus. I don't know.
That'd be kind of hard. I don't want to try to get through all that armor.
I was gonna say I love some of the creatures in this world. There was it looked like a nod to a triceratops at one point, like a triceratops bird. I loved it. I was like, dude, this is the world of By the Horns is just so creative and immersive. One of my favorite things is like you have all these like individuals, like these different races, and like they all have like their own distinctive features. It's not like just like a background character. It almost feels like every person has their own purpose in this story.
Yeah, I mean, when I write stories, I really layer them, and so the characters are really important to me. So when I introduce a character, there's some side characters, but they almost all have backstories. And when Jason and I are creating it together, a lot of times he'll even come up with stories. Like he'll just draw some villagers or whatever, and he's like, I like what I did for this design, and he'll tell me a little bit more about the villager, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then it'll come back, because if he tells me stuff like that, then sometimes I'll incorporate that into the story. But
so he knows.
Yeah, he does. Voracious is the same way. He really wanted to do this like team of dinosaur assassins, and he had like
that's so cool
for all the different characters, and they were just going to show up like once in the book. But I liked what he talked about so much that I was like, I'm going to bring these guys back. So stuff like that. But yeah, when I think of characters, I do character sheets. So, the character sheets tell me who they are, what they want, how they're going to get there, how they interact with others, how what they do affects other people and characters and creatures within the world. And so I don't need to refer back to them after a while, but in the beginning, it's nice to refer back to them because I can remember what their story is going to be, so that they can all have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And, sometimes I just create some side characters I don't think much more of them. They're just there in the story. But then if I like the design, Jason does, or I come up with a new story idea, and then they might figure into that. There's been a few characters like that over the years.
That's awesome. We have Captain B-Dub over on Twitch saying unicorns, and then reality manipulation seems cool. And then Rawstar subscribing for 2 months in a row. Thank you for that subscription. So how did you end up meeting Jason? Like, how did that end up coming about? And real quick, for everyone that is watching, here is the link to Scout Comics collection for By the Horns. I tried to pull up the previews for the issue we're about, for that's coming out in a week. For whatever reason, previews doesn't have that. It tried to give me the one that's dropping in June. I think it was issue 10.
Okay. Yeah. Well, like 8's coming out, so yeah, 10 will be in June. Yeah, it should be up there, but.
And I could try to pull that up. Not a problem. But in the meantime, though, how did you end up meeting Jason? Like, this collaboration between you two seems like it's just, you guys seem like a dream team. Like you're working in like perfect union almost.
Yeah. So I met Jason. So I lived in New York, and then I moved to Chicago in 2000. So the first thing I had to do when I moved was to find a comic book shop, like you do if you're a collector. And so I found this place called Graham Crackers Comics out in the suburbs where I was living, and Jason worked there. So he was young. He was before he went to college. So I was there maybe a couple years, and then he was going to go off to art school. But before that happened, there was a contest online to write a script for a book called The Authority, which is a pretty popular book back in the 90s, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote a script and I won this online contest, and I knew Jason wanted to be a comic book artist. So I gave him the script so he could draw the pages out. And he did that. He drew maybe a few pages, didn't do the whole story. Then he had to leave. And I didn't see that guy for 10 years. And then one day, a mutual friend of ours, the guy who actually ran the comic book shop, Bobby, he had an idea for a comic book, and he asked me and another guy we knew who were really into books to work on it with him, to write it. So I started working on that a little bit, and but it just didn't really work out because we had differing ideas on where to take the story. But during that time, Bobby had given Jason parts of the story so that he could maybe draw concepts for the characters, and because they were still in touch. So I saw some of those, and then when that project kind of fell apart, I just contacted Jason and said, hey, I know this didn't work out, but I have some other stories. Do you want to get together, have a beer, and then we can just talk about this stuff? Because
did you know it was Jason when you seen his work? Were you like, I recognize this? Or was it like, because the 10 years, like he advanced so much with his art, was it like not recognizable?
I didn't. I mean, well, I knew that Bobby was sending it to Jason. I remember.
I gotcha.
The artwork was completely different. It was a lot better.
Yeah.
Than what I had seen before. And in fact, when I met Jason, I gave him back those pages because he had given me those Authority pages he did.
Oh, that's so cool,
I gave
dude.
them back to him so he could see. He forgot he did them. But he could see how much he had progressed as an artist. So that was pretty cool.
How do you guys feel that James Gunn has them on his slate for DC, for the future of DC? They're doing like an Authority movie or team up, aren't they?
Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, I like James Gunn a lot. I love the Guardians movies.
Yeah.
And, Slither and stuff that he's done. I wasn't really a huge fan of the Suicide Squad movie, but everything else he's done, I love.
I liked the 2021 over the original one, but I could see where a lot of people really wasn't into it, because there's a certain humor that you have to be into to really like it, I feel.
I don't think that was the case for me. The humor I think was there. I think it's the characters.
Okay.
I didn't give a shit about the characters in Suicide Squad. So in Guardians, you care about the characters.
Yeah, that's true. I just picked up Baby Rocket. I'm so sick and tired of seeing these Funkos. I'm like, there's no more. And then Baby Rocket, I'm like, okay, I can get this one.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you care about the characters, I think the jokes land better. Mm-hmm. But also because the Suicide Squad were, they're just not good people. So a lot of their jokes were around that, and I don't know. They tried to inject some humanity into it, but I don't know. The ending I thought was better than the beginning, but I just didn't like it that much. But I'm looking forward to Guardians 3.
No, I am too. I know someone's going to die. We don't know who. It's all up in the air. I know a lot of people think it's Rocket. I think it's Drax because he's already stated that he wants to leave anyways, and pretty sure he's going to head over to DC to work with James. Right? They're like best friends or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, they like working together on stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It could be multiple characters that bite it. Who knows?
Hey, but feeling a character that bites it, let's get back into By the Horns. So this starts off rather interesting. We have Elodie, who is on a massive blood hunt for unicorns. Why does she hate them so much? Like, what is her beef with them?
Well, in the beginning of the book, her husband is trampled by unicorns. And so that's why she has a beef with them. And they're just really elusive magic creatures, and she can't find them. And she's a very proactive character. So she feels powerless, and she wants to try to, feel better about that and get revenge. So that's why it starts out like that.
And I love how like unicorns, like they're beautiful, they're mythical, and then they just trampled this poor dude to death. I mean, holy crap! And once she finds them, she goes ham wild on them. What's some of her favorite ways to kill them?
Well, you have to read it to find out because it doesn't exactly go that way. she can't really find unicorns. What happens is that she's looking for them, can't find them. She's killing anything out there with a horn in frustration. She basically wanders around and things attack her because there's lots of monsters there. And so she's making monster head soup and, just trying to feel better about her situation. And she gets wind of where some unicorns might possibly be in this city, and then finds out that there's actually this evil wizard who's extracting all the magic from creatures in the area. And so she figures, oh, maybe he's got unicorns, and that's how it begins. There's a greater threat out there than unicorns. And so she has to choose whether or not she's going to try to stop this larger threat or just stay hell-bent on her mission to kill all the unicorns. So she actually ends up teaming with some unicorns who don't know that she wants to murder them because she thinks, because they actually accidentally they save her. You'll see this in like the first couple issues. And she can rip off their horns and merge them together to form mystic weapons that are powerful enough to stop the wizards. So she figures she'll keep them around a little bit, use their horns, and find all the unicorns and just rid the world of all of them. And so that's how the book kind of starts. But, of course, things change in it. And you don't know. Like the very first page you see, she's standing over a unicorn with a big axe. And, that's in the future, and you have to see what's going to happen with it.
Oh, okay. Misdirection then. I love it. I love it so much. We have CB joining us over on Twitch. Guys, by the way, I did find that link over on Preview World. So this is going to be for By the Horns Dark Earth issue 8 that's coming out next week. You can pre-order it right here, and if you guys can't pre-order it, it is 100% free to put this link wherever you can, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you can put a link and talk about it. 100% free, and you're gonna have a friend that loves this because this book is off the charts. So what does that collaborative effort look like between you and the creative team? Like, do you like to have your artists follow your script to a T, or do you like to have them kind of just play in their own world? Like, how does that look like?
No, I mean, Jason and I are real co-creators on it and collaborate on it, and we live near each other. So, I came up with, most of the ideas for the story, but then I bring it to Jason, and then he might have other ideas or environments or characters or creatures that he wants to do. And we talk about the story, we talk about the designs, and we work that all out together before I even really write the script. So I'll usually write out like what the story is about, like a treatment for it basically. And then after we talk and work some of that stuff out, then I write the story. And then along the way, Jason might have ideas that he wants to put into the book too. And so I always try to get all that stuff in there. I've gotten everything he's ever wanted into the book.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is cool because, sometimes I'll have an idea like, oh, I have no idea how I'm getting this in here. But I found a way almost every time. Every time I've found a way so far. So yeah, that's how it works. And then I write the script. Jason looks it over, and then he does thumbnails, and I look those over, and we kind of check our egos at the door, and we're free to say whatever we want about the story or the art. And then we craft the issue, and then we give it to Steve, and then he makes it pretty for the colors. So awesome. Really great colorist. So yeah, it's fun. Jason and I work really closely together. I don't think it's probably not the norm, but the thing of it is like we created the world together. I don't think it would be the same thing if I just created everything, or Jason did it himself. It's a kind of a merging of our worlds, because I'm a metalhead and Jason's not. He likes bright colors and things like that. So, and it works. The bright colors in our book work for it, but there's a lot of darkness in there too. And, I
think metalheads could like bright colors, right? I don't. No. I can't. Well, eventually a metalhead evolves into the hip hop lo-fi guy that grows the beard. You ever see that meme? No,
I haven't seen that. No. He's like, that's not a true metal.
He's like, it's only Wall of Death or nothing.
Well, I'm deep into the weeds of metal. Like I meet a lot of people who, they listen to more of the popularized metal, and I don't. I mean, I'm on the Metalheads podcast.
I seen it. Yeah.
To the the real stuff in the weeds.
So what are some of the real stuffs in the weeds we can expect to find if we pull up that podcast? And where can everyone find it that's listening if they're interested?
Yeah, you can go to metalheadspodcast.com.
That's pretty easy.
Check it out. Yeah. I mean, if you listen to podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, you can find Metalheads Podcast. And we do a monthly cast, and it can be anywhere from like 3 to 6 hours per cast.
That's
and
awesome.
We interview bands, and we have a format for it. So we do news, new releases. We do a Metal Thunderdome where we pit 2 albums against each other every other cast. We do a top 5, and we do like an album of the episode. So we have a format, but it's basically metalheads, metal friends coming together and just hanging out, drinking beers and talking. I actually just got back from Philadelphia because the Decibel Metal and Beer Fest was this past weekend. So all my buddies were there.
That's so cool.
He got COVID, so he couldn't come out, but the rest of us were there, so we got to hang out and watch some good metal bands.
And that's so cool.
Incantation's like my favorite death metal band, and they were celebrating the 25th anniversary of one of their albums, and they played it in its entirety, and that was special because I don't think they'll ever do that again.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, and like here's me, like I'm like the 2007 like popular like deathcore bands. You're probably like, this guy. Hey, but I did get to meet Trevor from the Black Dahlia Murderer. He played in Ohio, and we got to hang out with him backstage. That was really cool.
Yeah, they just played at the Decibel Metal and Beer Fest.
So how's the new singer sound like?
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch?
I'm not a big fan. So
hey, no, I gotcha.
Listen, they have talent, and I definitely give them a lot of credit for continuing on and persevering.
Yeah, that's a hard thing.
That's a tough thing to do. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan. So there's a lot to do, a lot of friends there, and they have all this beer there. So I got to drink a lot of that and eat and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm not really into metalcore, not anymore. It used to be back in the day when it was different, but yeah, like Archangel, Converge is still good. Snapcase, stuff like that. Okay. Integrity, Dead Guy. The newer stuff, I don't know. It's kind of gone commercial, and it's just not as it's not as technical. A lot of repeating parts, choruses.
Yeah.
Or emo.
So you like technical grindcore or no? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I don't like grindcore.
He's like, I hate that shit. The 5-minute playlist, get it out of here.
No, I don't like when a band does like 5 minutes and they call that an album.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do agree with you. But one thing I do like is an awesome, beautiful book. We have the opportunity to check out some preview pages from By the Horn. So let's pull that up real quick and go through it and show everyone who is watching what they're missing out. Guys, once again, right here is that preview link to check out this book and pre-order issue 8. This is coming out from Scout Comics next week. So right there is a link on both sites. And let's get this party pulled up. So that is awesome, though. Is it hard starting a podcast about music? I feel like there just goes so much into it, right?
Well, I didn't start it. My buddy George started it, and he's was deep into the weeds before I came on the podcast. I was a guest on it, so I was a listener, and they were looking for listeners to come on. And so I was like, I'd love to come on. And so they interviewed me about Voracious at the time. I hadn't even written By the Horns when I first was on there. And then once I was on there, they just kept inviting me to come back. So, it's like listening metal is like a second job for me.
Yeah.
Because we get a lot of promos and stuff, and we have bands that come on. And so I always want to listen to everything and be prepared for interviews and to just kind of know their music a little inside and out. And then there's also the stuff I'm listening to. I want to make sure that when I talk about things on the podcast that people really get an idea of what that music is like and then get excited about it. I want people to find new things. So like, even though I don't like metalcore, the new metalcore, it's fine. Like everybody's got different tastes, and it could be a gateway into some other music that I do like. So I never really naysay the stuff that people want to listen to, but I hope that I give them some new things that they would consider, and the rest of the boys in the cast as well.
No, I really want to check it out. It just like it would just, it seems like it'd be do you ever like feel like you don't get a chance to listen to what you want to?
Yeah, that's true, because I'm listening to so much new metal, not NU, but just new stuff. That I don't get a chance to go back and listen to some of my favorite albums as much. I try to make a point to do that, especially after we do the year in review, where we do our top 25 or mid-year. Then I kind of take a break from metal and listen to stuff. I listen to a lot of ambient, it's like spacey ambient music when I'm writing.
Okay.
I listen to metal too, but most of the time I like to listen to stuff that doesn't have lyrics and all that. So yeah, I get to listen to stuff, but I stop listening to rock. I don't really listen to. So every year when I'm on Facebook, well, I don't think I did it last year, but usually I'll ask people like, "Hey, I'm in a metal hole. This is what I listen to, and I love it. But tell me what you like. I don't care what it is. You send it to me, and I'll listen to it. I can't guarantee you that I will like it. I'm not a big fan of hip hop or." There's some that I like, but most I don't like. I don't like newer country stuff. I do like older country, but if you send it to me, I'm going to listen to it and I'll give it a fair shot. So people send me all kinds of stuff that I've never heard of at the end of the year. And so that's how I kind of get some of that other stuff outside of metal.
No, that, you know, and it's having such a distinct taste for the music too. I mean, I'm sure you get like just a list. It's like, oh, why am I even listening to this? So we have Elodie right here.
It's fun actually, because my wife and I'll do it together. We'll listen. Oh,
that's probably awesome. Yeah.
And because she doesn't really, I mean, she listens to music for like workouts and stuff, but she doesn't find a lot of music unless she's listening to the radio for some reason. But I never listen to radio. I'm just always on Bandcamp listening to bands, and I'm like an album guy. I'm not a song guy.
Yeah.
So
you know, you ever listen to Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza?
No, but that sounds fun.
It's like
from Who's the Boss?
Yeah, dude, it's beastie. And the whole album just hits. But I don't know if it's like gonna be, you know, because I was trying to vibe you out when we were chatting about music, and I'm like, oh, dude, everything I like is probably like, you know what I mean? You're probably like, let me get more beer.
I'm drinking mead. No, man, it's listen, a lot of people do that, and a lot of have different tastes. So you tell me something, maybe I haven't listened to it, and even if it's something that's not really in my wheelhouse, I'll still listen to it. You know, it's something the other day. So
Shrine of Malice, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to it. You know, I'll spin it a couple times, to be honest with you, because the first time you listen, I might not get everything that's going on in the music. So I always try to appreciate something about the music, even if it's not something that's particularly suited to my tastes.
It's like the same thing with a comic book, right? Like you can read it the first time and not fully absorb what you're reading or looking at. And that second time, after knowing like at the ending, you can look for things and be like, I didn't catch this, you know? I love
comics a lot like that, actually.
I love this character design. You know, what was some of the inspirations for designing Elodie?
Yeah, so Jason and I mean, like I said, we work on it together. So I had ideas that I wanted to do. Originally, it was just a straight fantasy series. And then as time went on and we were finishing up Voracious, I decided that, I think we need to mix technology in there because it'd just be more fun and more interesting. Because I wasn't really digging the fantasy designs and the elements and things that we were doing. So I flipped it, and that's what really made it click for this. So you'll see in our book, I guess it has a lot of influences, a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, which I used to play before. There's some Final Fantasy in there, definitely some video games. We do these maps. They're called travel maps in the book. Oh, and I just want to say hi to everybody that's, you know, over there in the private chat. That's pretty cool. But yeah, so it's a mix of that. Like we put some video game type stuff in it where they're on a quest and they might go town to town and like pick up different equipment or weapons. And then you'll see a travel map, and it's kind of our way of helping to build the world. Because when I write, I don't sit down and say, this is what happened all these years ago and this is the way the world is. I don't like that kind of fantasy. I want you to just drop in and get immersed in the characters as they go on the journey. I want you to go with them. So we reveal things as it goes instead of just dropping a ton of information in the beginning. So, but the travel maps are neat. Well, if you keep scrolling, you'll see them. So it shows the map of the area, and then it shows the different enemies that they encounter along the way. And then Elodie, our lead character, Elodie, that's her. She will talk about what it's like to fight these creatures or what their vulnerabilities are. And so you get a sense of the dangers that they encounter along the way.
That's so cool. I love that so much.
So it's a good way to world build. And then like a lot of the creatures that we create for the maps don't even actually show up in the book. Like she doesn't fight them in the actual pages of the book. So we've created like, I don't know, 60, 70 different creatures. Some of them have been in the book, but a lot of them haven't. And it's just a way to show like, this is how much we enjoy putting into this world.
I really love like her emblem it's very metal. And I love how you have like a buffalo bone horn with her emblem like engraved in it, right?
We did. We made mead horns.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
So my favorite meadery, which I'm actually drinking the mead now from Brimminghorn, they actually made a mead for our book. And it was great. Well, I collaborated with them and helped come up with a recipe. It has dragon fruit and vanilla in it because I was living in Hawaii for a while and they have dragon fruit and it's my favorite fruit now. And I've never seen a mead with it. And then I said, I think you should add vanilla to it because it'll kind of balance that out a little bit. So they
did you get like stuck there when like everything hit? I read there was you were featured in that magazine. I read your article, by the way. That was awesome that you got featured in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a profile on Decibel in the last issue, which was really cool. I wouldn't say I got stuck there. I was glad to be there in the pandemic.
Okay.
There is no better.
Being
in Hawaii during the pandemic was like heaven because it's all about the nature there. It's all about the beauty, and that doesn't shut down. And there were no tourists, so we really got to see Hawaii the way I always wanted to, but because it's so popular and there's so many people, it wasn't the same afterwards. Of course, I hate the pandemic and that it hurt people and took people's lives, but I was very happy to be there. But so that symbol, it got we did the mead, and then Brimminghorn introduced us to these horn makers. They took these real water buffalo horns and they hand carved that symbol into them. That's
wow.
I was like, Jason, you got to give me the art for this. I want to put it in there. And I should grab one actually.
If you want to, I can zoom you in and we can show it off.
All right, I got to grab it. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
And everyone watching, thank you guys for hanging out. This is always an awesome opportunity to show you guys brand new, awesome creators, brand new books, and everything in between. If you guys have any questions you would like me to ask, feel free to list them in the comments below and we'll get them asked. So real quick too, we got CB over on Twitch saying he's ordering the book. We got Mama Geekly over on Facebook saying this looks awesome. Love to check it out. Love badass women, excuse me. Oh, that looks awesome too. Holy crap, that thing is bad. So what's it feel like drinking mead from a horn?
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to do it, but I just grabbed my Slayer mug instead today. But yeah, it's great. I mean, it's substantial because it's a real horn.
Yeah.
So they clean it and then they treat it and put this like coating over it, and then you drink out of it. But,
and that you can't get more metal than drinking from a horn, right? That's about as metal as it gets, unless it's like the skull of your enemy. I think that's probably.
Yeah.
So I will say. Oh, go ahead.
Or there's a song from I think it's a Woad. Drink from the skull of your father.
Okay, yeah. Many skull things.
Watain, actually.
Who was it? I'm trying to think of who it was.
Where they drink from your dead father's skull.
What's the band in Europe where the lead singer blew his head out? And it might be a rumor, but all the band members made necklaces out of like his teeth.
Oh, jeez.
Well, who was it? It started with the end. They were pretty notorious for burning churches too.
You're talking about it's blanking out now.
It's like a one-word band, I'm pretty sure, too, and I cannot think of it.
I know. It's pretty bad. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
We're going to get it like right as soon as this is done. And it's going to be like, son of a gun, it was right there.
Yeah.
Speaking of badass mustaches, though, this guy has one hell of one. What's this attached to his head? Like, so are we seeing like a kind of like android, like cyborg type people in this world? Or is that like a something to help him?
So the world is it's mostly fantasy, but then there's technology that you'll see sprinkled without. So we don't force the technology down your throat.
Mm-hmm.
So there's little things like you'll see the robot there who's like helping with farming. You'll see some tech. That's Haru. He's a lead character in the book. He's the father of her husband who's been trampled by unicorns. So I'm sorry, the grandfather. So he's got tech, and then Elodie's got a gun. You'll see, and then even Sajen, the deer wolf, he's got a thing on his head as well, which we explain in issue 6.
Mm-hmm.
So so we put a little technology, sprinkle it in, so it's not like you can get technology any place.
Okay.
You see the villagers here, they're mostly in kind of plain clothes,
mm-hmm.
but they have like this supplemental technology. So that's how I kind of wanted it. I didn't want it to be mostly sci-fi. I wanted it to be fantasy with flourishes.
So, by the way, Mayhem. I had to look it up because I knew it was going to just eat me away if we couldn't come up with that answer like on the stream. I'm pretty sure it was Mayhem is the band I'm talking about. Or am I wrong?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, early singer blew his brains out in 1991, and then everyone made wore necklaces of. That's pretty.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So right here is a pretty horrific scene as well. Speaking of people losing their head, what is going on here? Is this the result of Ellie or?
Well, yeah, as you saw in the beginning of the page, she comes in with a cart full of heads. So she basically goes out and hunts and brings the heads back and makes soup out of them. So this is the council, and they have all the heads there, and they're annoyed with Elodie because she always leaves the village but doesn't actually help the village do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in the next scenes here, you're going to see Haru talking to her and then kicks her out of the village because the council votes to exile her for a year because she just has no interest in serving the community. She just wants revenge. And so that's no good for them. And so she gets kicked out, and then she goes on her quest to try to find unicorns with Sajen, her telepathic half wolf, half deer friend who you saw earlier.
You were talking earlier about the Final Fantasy influences. I want to say I seen a weapon. It reminded me of like a miniature like gunblade pistol almost, like from Final Fantasy VIII, but a little bit shorter.
Yeah, we have a gunblade later for one of the other characters, like one of the villains.
Mm-hmm.
We did do a gunblade, but it doesn't show up until like the second series. So By the Horns, the first series, for people who don't know, there's 8 issues in it. It's an ongoing series, but we break it up into a mini series or maxi series, I guess, because the first is 8 and the second one's 12. So the first trade paperback is 8 issues, and then By the Horns Dark Earth, which is coming out right now, issue 8 of Dark Earth drops next week in 1 week. And that series is going to be 12 issues. But we do legacy numbering on the back. So you'll see that it just kind of runs straight as an ongoing.
I love that so much right here too. Please take as much Monster Head soup as you can carry. Like, get it out of here. We have enough of it.
Yeah, they hate it. They have enough, and they hate it because it's not good.
That is awesome. And then as you guys can see, 3 months later, all hell is still breaking loose. And she is very capable too. I mean, she is a badass. She's like, you are soup, you're soup, you're fracking soup. Man, I just love her character so much. Yeah. The way she goes from blades to guns. She is a badass.
She is. I mean, she spent a lot of time killing monsters since her husband got trampled. And, in issue 6, you'll see the origins of her and her fighting and why she does it. But yeah. She's spent
right
a lot of time, which I love establishing that right away because you see her coming in the very first page. She's got this cart this floating cart of heads. So you know right away, oh, she's dangerous.
I love this too. Yeah, this is so gorgeous and out of this world too. What do dragon whales do?
Well, if you continue on and you go to the page with the map, it actually tells you what a dragon whale does.
I love that so much too. So like, what influences did you and Jason draw from when doing this? Like, what favorite books and comics did you guys consume that kind of were like, I want to put this in mine?
I mean, like I said, I was a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons. I read a lot of Conan books when I was a kid, and comics as well. I still read those. So I was really into fantasy. I love these books by Carl Edward Wagner, which were fantasy books about this character called Cain, the mystic swordsman, who was like a sorcerer and a fucking barbarian.
Oh, that's cool.
And he was more heady than Conan, and I liked that about him. But yeah, I used to play D&D, and I read the Choose Your Own Adventure books. You're probably too young to know about that, but
the Goosebumps. I'm 33. I'm not that young.
Yeah. Anyways, they had these books, and you would read them, and you would get to a certain page, and then it would be like, oh, if you want to do this, turn to this page. If you want to do this, turn to this other page. And they were great, and I had tons of those. So that's kind of where the fantasy elements for me came about. But with Jason, he has a lot of different influences that come into it. It was like video games and fantasy stuff that he liked. But so I don't know. It wasn't one thing that really informed the series. It's more like we want to do a fantasy book, and we kind of want to do it our way, and we think that ours is pretty unique compared to other fantasy books out there, which it can be difficult, but we didn't have to think about it too hard. It's just, it comes from the characters, I think.
I really love how you guys like showed off this dragon whale, and then like I said, this is a book, guys, where if you don't like really pay attention, you're gonna miss it. Like right here, they're using it as like shelter. Awesome. Like you guys don't show like the big fight, but like right here is like the big dragon whale just chilling. They got a whole shelter built out of it. It's awesome.
Yeah. I love the dragon whale. Dragon whale comes back. A lot of the stuff in the book comes back. A lot of things that happen matter. Like I try to make every scene count. So there's a lot of layering in that regard, and you'll see it as it unfolds, definitely in the first 8 issues. And then when we do Dark Earth, all that stuff kind of comes back. Even stuff that happens in these first 8 issues is coming back in Dark Earth, and we're more than halfway through now.
Right. So after checking this out, guys, right here is the link. Be sure to check this out with us, and you can pre-order this. You have about a week until it goes live in your local comic book shop. If your comic doesn't have it, simply ask them to order it. It's important to tell your comic book. That's how they know what people want to buy. And if they don't carry this, they might want to carry it if you show some interest in it. So right there is the link. Be sure to check it out. So
let me just say, Cody, too, obviously I want the comic shops to carry it. So yeah, definitely ask them. We want to be in with the retailers. We want the retailers to order our book, but if for some reason they won't, you can always order it right from me, and that's Markisan.com. My name's probably up here somewhere. Yep. Oh, there, it's up there. So you just go to Markisan.com. I have a store and all the issues and trades. Well, the first issue did sell out. So the original one, I think I have a couple left of it, but it did sell out. But I sign everything for free. So if you want signed copies, and it's there.
Oh, congratulations too. You guys recently just funded a Kickstarter not too long ago. I want to say 197 page deluxe hardcover volume 1, 18K with 284 backers. Congratulations on just like killing it, man. That's how did that Kickstarter end up going for you? Are you guys still in the process of fulfillment for that, or is that have yet to come?
Oh yeah, thanks, Cody. Appreciate it. Yeah, it was great to do that Kickstarter. Always nervous. We've done a couple for Voracious, but we were super new creators when we had no idea what to expect for By the Horns, but it funded in 23 hours, which was just crazy and amazing at the same time.
Yeah.
A bunch of stretch goals got unlocked. So yeah, it just funded like maybe 2 weeks ago and just got the funds from Kickstarter. So so we're going to do a survey for people that backed it, and then we'll get the counts for everything and then start making it. I mean, the book is mostly done. It's the 8 issues in a hardcover for the first series. So we've already done those issues, so those are done. However, our first stretch goal was to do an 8-page story with Evelyn, who is a floating eyeball butler in the book, which you meet her in issue, I think it's issue 2 actually. And so she's like a main cast member now too. And so she gets a little solo adventure that's set in between scenes from the first volume. And I wrote the 8 pages, and Jason has to draw it, but he's probably not going to do it until after we finish Dark Earth. He's got a couple more issues to draw, and then he'll do that. We set the rewards to come around November, but I'm hoping we'll get them out sooner.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to start getting horns. A lot of people got the horns, so we'll have that made. We got some cool stickers. Yeah, a lot of different things in there that we got to get together. But and we're looking forward to seeing the book, because that's the star of the Kickstarter, and it's going to look great.
No, that's awesome. Once again, congratulations on that. So what's next for you guys in 2023? Just working on this series, or is there any other projects that you might be announcing soon or in the works?
And we do, Jason and I think we both have some stuff in the works. I have multiple series that I'm working on. One has a publisher, so I don't know when that's going to get announced. The artist is working on it, so hopefully sometime this year, maybe the fall, it might get announced. I'm really excited about that one. It's a mech book, which I love Robotech when I was a kid. The publisher actually contacted me about doing a mech story, which I didn't even think about. And so,
that's so cool.
I thought that was pretty cool. And then I came up with it, and I own the story, and the artist on it is tremendous. And it has some of the best character writing I've done. I pride myself on that, but I really like the lead character. Her name is Raven. And so that'll probably be the next thing come out. I have a couple more books with some artists that I've met that we're working on, that getting pretty close to pitching them. So we'll see how that goes. If they don't find a home, I think they probably will. But if they don't, then we just do them on Kickstarter. When I start books, I'm not a guy who throws things against the wall and see if it sticks. If I start a book, then I finish it.
It's gonna stick.
How I feel. So
right.
So I got 3 or 4
That's
series.
awesome.
And then Jason, he does some stuff for Zenescope. Every once in a while, he'll take a break from doing By the Horns and do a book for them. So he's got a few things out that you might want to check out. He does some really good artwork for them. And you never know what's gonna come out, because that kid is a great artist. He's talked with Marvel and some of these other higher ups about gig. He's actually done a gig for Marvel where he did the layouts for a book, Doctor Strange Punisher book, and
that's really cool. I've never even heard of them teaming up. That's such a wild team up for me. Doctor Strange Punisher team up, holy crap! Or are they going against each other?
It's always kind of both.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That was more of a team up though. But yeah, he just did the layouts for it. But they were amazing layouts. And then there's a different artist that came over. So I'm hoping that, he gets to do some projects where he does all the art, because I think he's one of the best artists in comics.
No, his art, his interiors are gorgeous. When I read through this, I was like, oh my God, this is next level stuff in here.
Yeah. So yeah, we have some other projects. And then Steve, our colorist, he colors different projects, and he's announced some things that he's done on Kickstarter, and he's super talented too. So I'm sure that he'll be getting other jobs as well. And we'll just have to see. But for my part, I got a bunch of projects in various stages. But I think the Mac book is probably going to be the next one that'll get announced at some point.
All right, let's go. Congratulations on all those projects too. That has to be really exciting to kind of have so much on the cusp of just coming out, or just teetering, right there. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. So I forgot one thing. I have I think it's 8-10 pages in an anthology coming out called Holiday Spirits Volume 3. It's Christmas stories. And so I wrote a story about a Norwegian legend, and So the artist is drawing that right now, and I'm excited about that because I've never really. One of our stories got an anthology, but it was this Irish anthology a long time ago, and we only got like 2 copies of it. And I kept asking for more copies, and they never would send them to me. I was like, "I'll buy the copies. I just want the book."
They're like, no.
No, it was like actually the first thing that really was published, because when we did Voracious, we printed an ash can called Cretaceous to pitch to publishers. We self-published it, but as far as an actual publisher putting it out, that story Never Alone, it was a little horror story. I think it was 8 pages. I think it's 8 pages. It's on my website, markisan.com. You can read it for free. And we did it, and we used it as a test for our first colorist, Andre, who did volume 1 of By the Horns as well. And we love Andre. He decided he was not going to do comics anymore and try to pursue other things. And that's why we found Steve. But so yeah, what was the name of that anthology? I think it was called Lightning Strike. Was the name of the
is this
anthology.
Norwegian one going to be a horror one too? I know sometimes a lot of those Christmas from like Norwegian areas or Europe areas are like scary as hell. So it's like, what is it going to be like a Krampus style one?
Yeah, it's a horror story. I'm not doing Krampus, but I'm sure Krampus will be in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm doing it with a friend of mine named Greg Miller, and he does animation for like Amazon, and he's actually working on Metalocalypse, the movie.
Dude.
So he does a lot of backgrounds and stuff in animation, and he does his own comics and stuff. He's a really great artist, and I've always wanted to work with him. So I came up with this little story.
So cool.
And so he's drawn that now. I actually just sent me a page of it the other day. So I don't want to say too much about it because, it's a short book. But yeah. Well, the anthology would be big, but the story is kind of short.
Hey,
yeah, I'm excited about that.
We can back away from the spoilers. No worries. I know this is your first time on the show. We always love asking for a little bit of advice before we wrap things up. So with that being said, I think as someone who's just done an outstanding job with world building, fleshing out your world and everything, what would be your advice for someone trying to achieve that for the first time? If you could just maybe offer them a little bit of something.
For world building?
Yeah. Just maybe adding a little bit of spice to the world, a couple layers here and there if they're just having trouble achieving that.
That's an interesting question. Well, I think the big thing that helps me, and I mentioned this earlier, was doing those character sheets.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to try to build a world, you should try to build it around the characters because they're the ones that tell you what the world is like to them. And that's the most important thing, because if you can convey that through your characters, then people will believe that world. They'll get immersed in that world. So by doing character sheets, like let's take Elodie, for example, as our lead character. I did a sheet for her, and like I said, it talks about who she is, before, who she is now, what her goals are, how she interacts with people, how she plans to achieve those goals, what are the obstacles that get in her way, what are the things about the world that either annoy her or that she enjoys. And if you can do that, and you do that with your characters, then it helps to like inform that world. What monsters does she hunt and where? That helped a lot because if she's in the desert, I have to think about the kinds of monsters there and the kind of creatures that live there, or people. And that helps to build that kind of section of the continent. Or if it's like a jungle or it's the coast, how do they get to these places? The wizards are another thing in there. There's these 4 wind wizards that are menacing the entire continent because they're extracting magic from all the creatures on it for some nefarious purpose that you have to read about. And but by thinking about those characters, where they live and how they're extracting, what kind of creatures, it helps you really build that world. Why would they be? The first one she encounters is on the coast. Why would he be there? What is he doing? What are the advantages of being on that coast? So stuff like that. It all stems from the characters, in my opinion. And, well, it should anyways. Because that's how I write. I write character first, and then the plot and everything will stem from that because it's based on their needs and wants and successes and mistakes.
I really love that, and your characters are just, like I said, out of this world. Even the background characters feel like they're main characters at some point, like just how fleshed out. Everyone has a purpose, like you said earlier, and I think really adding that flavor to your story can really take it, leaps and bounds. Thank you for such sound advice. Now, outside of creating, though, what are you consuming? TV shows, comics, video games, if you play, even music. What are you listening to or doing in your free time, if you have it? I know you're a busy man, but
of course, I like that stuff too. So yeah, metal. First of all, I listen to a ton of metal, and I build a list because we do top 25 for mid-year and then at the end of the year. So I'm constantly shuffling that around and listening to new music. So I was doing that today, and I love shows. I only usually watch about one show at a time, although I watch a lot of wrestling. I love wrestling. I watch AEW and WWE, but it's almost like I can watch it and really focus on it, or I can do it as background and do other things like editing work or something like that. Because I started doing editing work for comics, so I've got a few people who are trusting me with their projects, which is cool. It's like, I am an editor. I was trained for one. I've been an editor in chief, but I kind of wanted to get into the comic side of it because I feel like I'm a good content editor. And those things I was just talking about are things that I'm talking about with creators. So when I read their stuff, I was like,
I love it.
You got to kind of bring some of this out if you want the book to be a little bit better. So, but yeah,
they ever come back and they're like, why did this person get DDT through a table? That doesn't make sense. I was listening a little too hard.
I always think I just got back into wrestling, but it's been a long time now. I feel.
Yeah,
because I watched it when I was a kid, and then I didn't watch it for a really long time, and then I don't know what happened. I just started watching it, and there's something about wrestling where it's just feel good. Some of the storylines are super dumb, and I'm not going to say it's mindless because some of it's really good content, and engaging and I enjoy it, but it's positive, it's fun. It's just pure fun. And there's so much in the world that just bogs you down that what is kind of a remedy for it.
What era did you fall out? I know I fell out kind of after the Attitude Era, I think was like kind of right where I made my exit from it.
So I never even saw the Attitude Era. I was before that. I missed all that Steve Austin and all that stuff. I missed all that in the middle. The Rock, all that. None of that stuff did I see. I was way before. I was more like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior type stuff.
Okay.
And then all that stuff I never saw. And then came in after it. So I like that. My wife doesn't watch that, but we watch shows together. And I guess the big show that we really love right now is Succession on HBO. I don't know if people know about it, but it's like despicable rich people vying for a mistake in their father's company where he's at the end. It's a pretty popular show, I guess, now, but we blew through like the first 3 and I was shocked by it because I've been talking about character and everything. I like characters that I can follow. If I'm going to read a comic, I'd be able to identify with somebody in the book. That's how I'm going to keep reading it. I don't really identify with any of these characters, and yet it's engaging. This does not happen that often. So I find that fascinating.
I was just playing video games with the boys earlier, and we were talking about it. And I was like, dude, for a long time, I keep seeing people do #Succession. And I'm like, cool, everybody is getting W's. I love seeing the community just get victory after victory. And they're like, no, that's a TV show. And I'm like, oh. Because they'd be like fire emoji Succession. I'm like, cool. Like, and then someone's like, yeah, it's a bunch of rich people just complaining about their lives. I'm like, all right. But you made it sound way more interesting. I might have to check that out.
It is way more interesting than that. That's the thing. It's like it's just more complex. And I think they do a really good job of making you believe that maybe they could be a little bit better. So I don't always hold out hope for that, but I think that's kind of the thing of it, and really for me, it's about wanting to see them all just kind of get screwed over. In the end, Yeah. Because I don't like any. There's not one character I like them as personalities. Like I think it's Kieran Culkin that plays one of them. He's awesome as a character. I wouldn't want to hang out with that guy, you know, and I don't want to see him be successful. I want to see him like be in the gutter.
Yeah, get a reality check, huh?
So there's something about that, I guess. I don't know. I guess I'm watching it with menace in my heart, but
spite watching.
So yeah, but yes, we like that, and we watch as an antidote to that, we watch Ted Lasso.
Let's go.
So, and then we love all kinds of sci-fi shows. We just haven't I haven't gotten to Mandalorian, the new season, and I do really like Mandalorian. We love The Expanse, things like that. And for video games, I play Steam. I do games on Steam with my buddy who I've known since high school. We typically like shooter games. There's not a lot of games where you can play two players, co-op or online. So we play a lot of Borderlands. Right now we're playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which I like. Even it's basically Borderlands, but with swords, with more, close combat weapons.
Doesn't she do like a D&D type game too?
Yeah, there's like a narrator where she brings you through.
That's so cool.
This world, and it actually is good. I read some reviews where people were annoyed, and I was like, I actually like her. She's funny. The people in Borderlands
her and Butt Stallion were perfect, and Handsome Jack, the second one?
Yeah, I've played all the Borderlands games and I like them, but I hate all of the talking in it. I thought it was all annoying. And Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is the worst name for a game. She's actually funny. I actually enjoy the dialogue in that game, and I like it a little bit better than Borderlands because, like I said, you can use more close combat. You can do close combat in Borderlands, but this one you actually get real weapons, and you can actually do a lot of damage up close, and you still have all the other things that Borderlands has, sniper rifles. And so we just started that, and we play once a week. We always play Tuesdays and play for a bunch of hours. And
that's
Tuesday
the best
night.
Though.
We've been doing that for years.
I've been advocating we need an Army of Two trilogy remaster to come back. That was like the perfect 2-player couch co-op. Like you and a friend just crouching behind cover. Someone gets shot, you could drag them, and they're able to shoot while you're dragging them to cover. Like it was like awesome.
Oh yeah, Army of Two was like that, right?
Yeah, Army of Two.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we played that. We played all those games. There was like 3 or 4 of those.
Yeah. It's the Devil's Cartel, I think, was the last one. That one's where it kind of started going a little south, but I still had a blast with it.
But fun.
Yeah.
What are you playing?
So
right
I'm
now?
actually a Twitch streamer. I do a lot of content creation myself. So I am playing Resident Evil 4, and we just got done doing Bloodborne Return to Yharnam. That was March 27th, I think, to April 7th. So a big Bloodborne event to kind of we always try to reignite the community. Wulong Fallen Dynasty, so I like doing a lot of like Dark Souls, but the games you just make you hate yourself when you're playing them. I don't know why I'm drawn to them, but I am. And then Switch, I've been playing a lot of Switch. Just got Burnout Paradise. It was like $9 on the sale. I'm a big I for whatever reason, the arcade racing games just hit that itch for me. And then Octopath Traveler, so I like RPGs.
I love RPGs. I don't have time to play them. Like I bought Final Fantasy. I actually I have a PS4. I don't have a 5. I bought a PS4 just so I could play that Final Fantasy game. And I played a bit of it.
The 7 remaster or
the remaster one. Yeah. Which I love the original one. So so I got that, and but I haven't finished it because it's so long. It takes so long. I
have what, like right there. Figurines from Japan. They're like $100 a pop. Cloud, Barrett, Vincent, and then I don't know if you can see all the way over here, but I have a stand-up of Cloud right there. Nice. It's like all the way up. It's like from the old school 97 ad with Pepsi. And then I have Genova tattooed right here. Final Fantasy 7 was like the last game I played with my dad. So like,
that's great.
I want to say it's the best game I ever played. I love Final Fantasy 9 and 6 a little bit more.
Oh yeah. Those are good too.
Yeah.
I like 10 as well.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude, 10 was so. We could do a whole podcast on Final Fantasy. But guys, it is time for us to wrap up. Right here is the link to pre-order this book before it drops next week. Awesome. I had the chance to read it. I cannot vouch more than I can right now. And thank you, CB, for pre-ordering it as well. We love to see that. I hope you guys all have an awesome time. Most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.